Welcome to a video about putting on a Whimple and Veil, early 12th century. I spent quite a few years working on developing a way that I could wear period appropriate headgear that wouldn't slide off my head, that was comfortable, that didn't cause headaches. I developed several versions. The one that I liked for a while had no wimple, and it was a hat, pillbox hat. So I wore the pillbox hat, and then I would wear a veil over the top of it. And then I would use this type of hairpin underneath or on top, because I had holes that are in the hat. You can see that would attach to my hair. Well, this method I used probably for 3 or 4 years. I really liked it. It was cool, no wimple. But the more I wanted to become authentic and genuine with my persona and make all of my things come together, I knew that I needed to wear appropriate headgear for the type of garment that I was wearing. It was something that I wanted to do. I have tried several things. One of the things that I use most often now, I use a modern-ish technique, kind of developed in the time period of the hennin hats, is they would wear a velvet headband, and then they'd put their hat on and it would stay. Well, in the Rapunzel group and the Orthodox Jewish group, women, they use a velvet headband also to keep their scarves on. And I had a health issue last year where I lost most of my hair, and I was wrapping most of the time, and I discovered these headbands, and I love them. I make my own for my garb and my headgear. This is the one that I'm using. Has my name in it. Make sure that when you're kind of petting it and you meet resistance, that's the part that's going to go on the top. So you put that on, and you get all your hair out of the way, and if you have fringe like I do, you just push it back, it'll stay. Okay? The next step is the cap, and you want a St Brigid cap. That's what you want. You can make them in different sizes. I've embellished mine. I have found a few sources that on effigies you can see a raised edging on their edges of their veil, where the veil and the cap seem to meet. There's a few effigies that show it. There's a few illuminations, like 2 maybe, that show that raised bit that could be embroidery. We don't know. I'm interpreting it as embroidery because I'm a pasty white girl wearing white. I like color. So I've embellished my edges. And with my short hair, I don't have to worry about it as much as when I had long hair. But when I had long hair, I would definitely pull it up in the bun in the back. But with short hair, I don't worry about it. I also make sure that I just cross it. I do not tie it at this point because I am prone to migraines. You cross it at the top, and then when I pull it down, I tie it. I just do one tie, and then I tuck up inside, and it's out of the way. So there's your cap. Once you have the cap on, it's not going anywhere, especially with that velvet headband. You're not going anywhere. If you do your strap about the same place that your velvet headband is, it's for sure not going to go anywhere. And I have a couple linen veils that are extraordinarily long, so they're heavy. And when you wear linen with linen, it sometimes catches, kind of feels like a little bit of Velcro. I've never had one come off if I wear my cap tied like this. Then you put your wimple on. Now, a wimple is a long rectangular piece of fabric. Mine is about a yard long, but it's only about 14, maybe 20 inches wide. Basically, you want it wide enough that from your chin, it'll tuck inside the curved line of your gown. You want to pin it there. Because if you're moving around through the day, you don't want to expose yourself. If it's hot and sunny, you do not want to sunburn. So I use the crease in the middle that I've already ironed in that spot. I'm really careful to make sure I iron my wimples when I wash them. Ironing is very period appropriate. They would have ironed their linens, so do so. So then you end up with here and here where it crosses. Now, I have a couple wimples that are a little narrow, so I made them a little too narrow for the gowns that I wear. I will pin here if the wimple is too narrow, because what happens is these things will come forward and it'll bunch up. So you need to make sure that you're pinning everything down where you want it to stay. So one pin in the top. I have no knots, so I have nothing but just basically feels like I'm wearing a winter hat. That's it. It's not tight. I have lots of room. You can make it tighter if you want. I've gotten used to it, so this is as tight as I want to go. My veil is also ironed, so I have a center point. Or you can eyeball it, but there is a center point. And if you put your, I'm having a hard time with the camera. Okay, so if you place it where it's on the edge of your St. Brigid Cap, I use a tiny pin for this part. I don't use a decorative pin. I use a pin that is really tiny, if you can see that. Really tiny pin. They're really short. You don't want something very long. It's a 1-inch pin, exactly. That's all you want. Now these tiny ones are really important when you're pinning inside of the collar of your dress, because they don't show and they're not heavy. But I do use really nice big decorative ones to do the side. And you don't want to stab the side of your head or your ear, so you do have to kind of put your finger in there and kind of figure out how you want it to be. I don't like my veils in my face, so I'm really fairly careful about how I pin it down, ouch, so that it doesn't get in my way. Sometimes I pin them a little low, sometimes I pin them a little high, but that's it. That's it, you're done. It's beautiful, your face is framed, you're completely in time period in early 12th century. You could probably even go into the 13th century with this. It's comfortable, it's cool, even in the summertime. Make sure it's linen. If you can make sure your top veil is also linen, that helps. I do use some silk. They're all very comfortable. The lightweight silk flows really good, so you want to make sure your wimple comes all the way and overlaps in the back, so your hair doesn't show, so the back of your neck doesn't show. I love my Whimple and Veil ensemble. I'm very comfortable with it. I have tried polyester and nylon wimples. They are not nearly as comfortable. They're very hot, and you can basically give yourself heat stroke in them if you're not careful. So that is the basic Whimple and Veil put together. There's no circlet involved. There's no coronet involved. There's no barbette. One of my biggest frustrations of why I continued to seek something that worked for me was barbettes give me migraines. Anything that knots and really puts any kind of pressure points on my head, I will have a migraine. And then I'll be miserable for the whole event. So this is my rendition of the Whimple and Veil, and I hope you enjoy it. And happy playing!